Hey everyone, welcome back. In the last video we saw how to create and inject a service into a component and how to use it there. That's great. Now, as I said at the end of the last video, this provider's metadata is not the only place where we can provide this service and tell Angular 2 how to create it. Indeed, let me delete this provider's metadata here. So now it won't work when we're getting this error in our developer tools here again. And let me go to my bootstrap component where I will set up my app component as the root component. Now this bootstrap method can take more than one argument. The second argument it is able to take are, as my tooltip here says, custom providers. So this is an array of providers I want to, provide to my root component. Now let me add my logging service here. Let me save this. And now you see the error is gone, and if I try to log something, it now works again, even though I don't have my provider's metadata here. That is because Angular 2 uses a hierarchical injector, meaning if you inject something or provide something to a root component, all child components will be able to use that specific instance of the service. And that's very important, that instance of the service. Because as I said in the overview, in general, the service is a singleton, which means only one instance exists at a time. That is only true for each time we provide a service. So if we provide it at the root service, we create an instance basically, and this instance is available in the root component and in all the child components. If we provide it in, let's say, the component 1 and the component 2, but not in the root component, we would have two different instances, one in the component 1 and one in the component 2. Now that might sound a bit confusing. Let me show you what this actually does. Currently, everything's fine for us, right? We're injecting it at the root level and therefore we can use it in all the child components. And for a pure logging service, this might be perfect because then we don't have to add this provider's metadata in each of our, components here. Let me demonstrate this to you. If I copy this template code here and go to my second component and I paste it into it. And then I'll copy the logic from my first component and paste it there too. So I got two identical components. I need to add my import in the component 2 though. Import is not injection, it's not creating the instance, it's just importing it so that, basically we got all the pieces together. And if I now save, we haven't got any error. Now let me add my second component in my root component here. So this will be the second component and here will be my first component. Okay, now I will add it by using component 2, which is the selector of this component, and I need to add it here too. And also add the import up here. Okay, let me save this. And now I got my two components. And now I want to log component 1, my first component. You see it appearing in the console. And here I will log component 2. Great. So we're using this logging service and everything is working the way we want. Let's say we want to store the value we last logged and also output it when we log something. So we want to change the service such that it has a private property called last message, which is an empty string at the beginning. And when we log something, what we do is we output our current message as well as our last message. No, not like that. Thank you very much. This last message. Okay, so now we got this. Now after logging, I will take my last message and set it equal to my current message, so that I always store the last message. Now let's try this. I log test and we only see test because we don't have a last message. I log test2 and we see test2 and then last message was test, right? So the current message is just test2, the last message was test. Let me reformat this. Current message test2, last message test. So now it should be good to read. Okay, awesome. Now in the second component, component 2. It says last message test2, but in component 2 we haven't logged anything yet. You see the problem? Now I'm storing something in a property of that service, and since the service is a singleton, I'm accessing it from two different components, but I'm accessing the same instance of the service. Therefore, it's the same property I'm accessing here. Now, if I don't want it, well, I have to go to my boot.ts file, remove this root level injection here, and go back to my component 1, add my providers with logging service. Then I will just copy that, and here in my component 2, I'll also insert it. Now if I do this, test, last message not existent because the app reloaded, and now component 1. So current message is component 1, last message is test. Now in my second component, let me enter component 2. We see current message component 2, last message not existent, because now we're using two different instances of the service. Now, if you need this behavior or one single instance, well, that depends on your application and what you want to do with the service. But it's really great that Angular 2 provides you with this powerful tool of having a singleton if you want it, and having two or multiple different instances if you want this behavior. And this is how dependency injection in Angular 2 works. You have this hierarchy, and when you inject something on the root level, this instance of the injected service is available in all child components, whereas if you inject it on child level, each child has its separate instance. Either way, you have to add a provider at some point to create that instance and to enable Angular 2 to really inject something. So that's dependency injection in a nutshell in Angular 2. And in the next two videos, we'll have a look at two different ideas what we could do with such a service. So see you there. Bye.